Hey everyone, it's Jeff from 7 Demo 7. We're going to get started here in just a second. I just put together the Sidewinder here, and I just wanted to go over a few of my remarks before we do a maiden flight tomorrow. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started here in just a second. So thanks everyone for joining me. Thanks for joining my office here. I'm battling a little bit of the skylight sun right here, so we might get washed out at some point. So let me know, guys, if you can hear me, if everything is okay with the stream. So, like I said, I just put this together, and I just want to go over some of my thoughts of the airplane, the wing, as it is. I'm going to be using my Eternity i10. It's just a real simple radio for putting together quick models like this. I'm going to be park flying this most likely, so I don't really need like the Tyrannus or any type of long range applications for this, because this is made to be a race wing. So let me just step in front of the camera here for just a moment and just kind of go over and show you guys the airplane. It's all put together here. I have all the control surfaces ready to go. Hey guys, how you doing? Hey everyone. What I did is I actually got my ailerons going with about 20 millimeters of up and down trim here. Up and down travel, I should say, and same thing for the elevators. I actually have the travel set on my knobs here, so that I can actually turn the travel really far down or really, really far up. So you can actually get massive travel if you really want to. Of course, in a wing, it's going to be super reactive, so I'm going to keep that in the middle at 50% on my maiden to start with, and that should do it. Couple things to note here, the LEDs on the ends of the wings. There's the red one, there is the green one, and there is also the LED in the very back, which I haven't turned on, but there's an LED array right here in the back. You actually have to turn that on in the inside of the bay here. Actually, let me go ahead and do that. There's actually a little button on this little tiny controller that's inside of here, and I might not get to it right now because everything's plugged in. Let's see if I can grab my pliers here. But so since like I said, I just put this together, and I just wanted to go over some of my notes before we actually do the maiden tomorrow. Let's see if I can turn this on. Bear with me, guys. Okay, there we go. So as you can see, there is the red. You can make it flash really fast, or just turn it off. So solid, flashing, a little faster, and off. So there's a little button on this little tiny controller right here. There's a second button that will actually change the color. So let's change the color real quick. See if I can feel it. There we go. We have green, blue, yellow, purple, and kind of a tealy color. Another shade of purple, and back to red again. So that's pretty cool. I actually like that. It can give you some orientation when you're in the air and everything. So if you guys don't know, it's hard to tell from the videos, but if you read the description, this wing is EPO. It's not an EPP. EPP usually has to have a lot of carbon sparring through it, but it's a fairly stiff wing, but it looks almost like a blow molded airplane when you first see it on the products page. But it is EPO. So it's going to be a fragile wing if you crash it really, really hard. It's not going to be like an EPO one where you crash it, it rips, you just glue it back together and fly it again. So this is not going to be the type of airplane that you can crash multiple times and get it back up in the air. Now let me just talk about putting everything together. Everything went together really, really easily. The servos were pre-installed. I love these linkages that are right here. It's a solid ball link, and that means you get zero slop through the surfaces here. And I'll pull you guys in closer in just a moment. I'll just put the airplane on the table and we'll talk about a few things. One thing to note here is that it recommends the CG at 205 to 210 millimeters. With this 4S 2200 pack, that ends up being nose heavy. Let me just show you where we're at. So it's actually quite nose heavy. So about a finger's width nose heavy. So right about there. So there is my finger, and if I move it back to where the actual CG should be, so I'm a little worried about it being too nose heavy. I might have to give it some elevon to correct for that. But this is the only battery pack I have to run with this. I don't have any other 1800 4S's or anything like that. So I'm a little worried about like having it so nose heavy. I can't push the battery pack any further. I may be able to put some weight in the back, and that might just be what I have to do. So that's going to be pretty interesting because I have no FPV gear in here yet. So let me just pull you guys over to the table here, and we'll go over some of the things that I found while putting this model together. So I'm just going to give me a moment here. We'll put everything down. And I should also show you that I do have the motor running as well. Sounds really, really powerful. So let me put my throttle on so we don't chop any things off. And we'll just go over some of my findings, like I said. Let me bring you guys over to the table and we will move things out of the way. As you guys can see, I haven't put on any of the decals yet. That is to come. Let's go ahead and aim the camera down here so we get a nice full view of the table. I have my notes here. I'm going to shift those off to the side so you guys can't preview my notes. Alright, so it's going to be a little hard because the camera is actually right in the way of where I need to be. So, okay, so let's talk about the plastic protection. So, it has a plastic protector on the leading edge of the wing here, and it's going to need it because it is an EPO model. On the underside, I'm really happy to show that they have this nice built-in skid that's just going to protect the center of the airplane. This is the part that is the lowest of the airplane, the wing. So when you do land, you're going to land on this nice skid. Now, I fly up at Kite Hill. I tend to always land on the runway. I have a feeling this one I'm going to probably land in the weeds because I have a feeling this thing's going to land quite fast and it's going to have a pretty decent glide ratio. So it's got this stiffener here, which is nice. This is all pre-installed. Now, one of the things that I'm a little disappointed with is that we have these nice servo covers that cover over the servo horns and the top of the servo, the pocket here, and there's no glue included for this. So, I mean, it's not a big deal, but it's nice to know that you have the proper glue for whatever model that you have. Because a lot of times you will have glue that is incompatible with EPO, and you try and test a little bit on there and it eats away at the glue. So that's not always a good situation. I'm going to go ahead and unplug this while we're talking here so we just don't have the battery sitting here on. I'll turn this off as well. The other thing that I haven't installed yet are these little plastic, I don't know even why these are included. I don't know if it stiffens the frame. I would assume that it does, but these go here and here. I'm sure you guys have seen this in the videos and the product page and whatnot. But there's no glue there's no glue included, like I was saying. So I'm not really sure what the purpose of these are. It's just this kind of stiffish plastic. I suppose it's going to give this model some stiffness. I don't know if this was an afterthought. I don't know if they were worried about flex in the wing or fluttering of the wing at high speeds. So not really sure. There's not a lot of explanation with it. So these I am going to need to find some appropriate glue to glue these down. I'm hoping that maybe Welders or E6000 or Goop might be okay. But Goop tends to, I think, soften this type of material. So I'll have to suss out what type of glue to get. I might need to go with the, what is it, the one that's actually made for foam. I'll think of it here in just a moment. So in just a moment, guys, I will look back at your comments and answer any questions that you guys have. So if you have any questions, go ahead and put it on the comments, and I will scroll back through in just a little bit to go over all these things. One thing to note is that we have the receiver bay here, and it is only a certain width, so you might have to make sure that you have a receiver that is under 34 millimeters. So I did have a slightly larger receiver that I was going to put in this. I ended up using this little Quantum IA8 that came with one of my other radios that's compatible with the i10. But you can see I have a nice little gap here. But I had the 10-channel version of this that comes with the i10, which was too wide for this. So 34 millimeters is about the maximum that you're going to get. Most likely, you guys are going to be using a small type of receiver, so that's not really a huge issue at all. Like I was saying before, there's no LED instructions. There's a LED lead that comes from this side and the one that comes from this side. Now, unfortunately, you normally are going to have all of your control servo links going into one side of the receiver. It's funny that the LED lead for this right wing here actually just ends right here, so you actually have to run a little extension to go back into your receiver, or you could possibly run these on a Y lead, but there's not a lot of room in here to stuff the extra wiring from a Y lead in here. So I just took a really small extension and just put it from here to here, but it's kind of a pain because if I wanted to flip this receiver around the other way, then all of these connections would not reach either. So it's not a big deal, but let's see here. Anything else here? Like, there's no LED instructions, but it is pretty self-explanatory, so it's not a big ding on those guys. And like I was saying, with this 2200 in there, it is nose heavy, so I'm a little worried about that. I'm going to go ahead and fly it the way it is. I may just put some tire weights back here just to maybe make it a little less nose heavy, because right now it's extremely nose heavy. Okay, some of the there's on the product page for this airplane, they state that this comes with 2 propellers. Mine only came with 1 propeller, and they state that the 50-50, which is what I have here, is the improper size, that it's too fast for this airplane. It's probably going to over amp this ESC, so during my maiden I'm actually going to probably not really give it full beans. I'm not going to give it full throttle because I don't want to burn out my ESC. It states, I believe, don't hold me to this, I think that it states that it comes with a 50-45 and a 50-50. This is actually a 50 by 5.5, a 5 by 5.5, so I'm hoping this isn't extremely overpropped. So if that's going to be the case, I might have, you know, an ESC fire or something like that. So I'm a little worried about that. So like I said, I'm just going to take it easy knowing that information, that this may be overpropped, and why they gave me the wrong prop, I don't know. So so Hobby King, if you are sending these out with the wrong prop, I would suggest definitely sending it out with the proper prop. And actually they state that you get 2 props when mine only came with 1. As far as assembly guys go, the assembly was extremely easy. These little wing fences here and the skids underneath, there's just 1 screw that goes up through here and into the fin here, which is really nice. It's actually molded with the plastic bottom, so they really mate together really nice. And actually the molding process that they went through this for this airplane had to have been quite costly, because everything is seamless. It's really nice. So this is an example of what the bottom of the wing skid is going to look like. It comes with 2 sizes, kind of a low profile one and also a little bit longer one. This one will probably give you a little bit more stability through the air because it is bigger, but when you land, this is going to give me a nose down situation, and since I land on concrete a lot of the times, I'm going to go with the short one just to try out. But it's literally 2 screws that bolt the top and bottom together. It's the same thing on both sides, and that's pretty much it for your assembly. You just have to take out the two screws for the receiver bay here. And as always, I'm not going to be running this FPV as a maiden. I always maiden without any FPV equipment in. To start with, I want to get the plane dialed really well, and then I'll add my FPV equipment afterwards. Okay, so let me just take a look at my notes here, see what else we have going on. Underneath the battery, you definitely want to use some of the 3M sticky pad, which is what I do for all of my models. That way you don't have to run Velcro on the bottom of the batteries, then you always forget which side has the Velcro and what side do you need to put in, fuzzy or scrapey. So if you guys can see in here, this little pad here and this little pad is the little 3M. They've got adhesive on one side and it's kind of tacky on the other, but I use this on my multi-rotors, and this works always really great for planes where you don't want the battery to shift around. I put this in my Consendo as well, so that stops the battery from sliding forward or backwards, and you definitely don't want the battery sliding forward in this model. So I also I always trim these Velcro straps so that you don't have any overlap, and it's always hard to get them attached as well. So I do love the pre-installed servos. I love the pre-installed LEDs and all the linkages, like I was saying before. One thing to note is that if you do have to get into your receiver bay, let's say, or your VTX bay, these little screws here can be a problem if out in the field. You have to be super careful not to lose them because they are quite small. So that could be an issue. They do give you a couple of extras, so if you have the extras, I would say put that into your flight bag and make sure you don't lose these, because if you do lose them, it's not. I guess it wouldn't be a very big deal because you could just run a piece of tape on there. You know, it's not a big deal. As far as that, you know, sorry, I lost my train of thought there. But let's talk about the price of this thing. It's about $130 now. For the same price, you can get something similar to like a Team Legit 40 or a Hardcore 44. Obviously, the building process of those type of race wings are much more involved, but you're going to get a much better flying experience, I think. Obviously, I haven't flown this one yet. This one might fly just fine, but the longevity of this, it really is a concern for me. If you crash it hard, if you break the EPO, it's going to be hard to get that brake to go back together correctly and also to fly correctly afterwards. I do like the fact this is a fully molded wing from tip to tip. You don't have to glue any sides together. The spars are already inside. My other concerns that maybe that I've heard on the comment section on this airplane at hobbyking.com, that I've heard of some flutter issues, and flutter issues are going to be basically at high speed. It just can't handle the stresses of the high speed flight. So I think you're going to be capped out at about 100 miles an hour. I don't know why it's going to be fluttering, and I don't know if it'll happen to me, but I will definitely keep you guys involved in that. Other than that, it seems it's really well put together. You do have the dummy antennas that you can put on, either just the rubber ducky or the spire net style, and that just screws right into here. And that's when you're going to be doing FPV. So I'm going to keep this thing really sleek for my maiden flight. I don't want any adverse yaw to start with, so I'm just going to leave these off. And when I do go for FPV, I will add one of these on at that time. But it's nice that it's a well thought out idea from Stuart, who designed this airplane. So kudos to him. So that's pretty cool. So let me just look back at you guys' comment. I'm gonna lower this this tripod just a little bit so I can see your comments. And if you guys have any questions, just let me know. Like I said, it took me maybe 15 minutes to put this thing together, bind up my receiver. It was really easy. So, all right, so I have the tripod at an acceptable level here, and that sun is coming in, isn't it? All right, so let's just bring this in, center it up, and let me just take a look through your comments. Oh, yes, Foam Tack. Foam Tack from Robinson Racing. Foam Tack is the exact thing that I would be using for this model. So not a lot of comments. So I don't have a lot of questions to answer. That's nice. But yeah, just to take a little bit of the mystery out of this model, I give you guys a little bit of a close up. Thanks everyone for joining me here. I think I'm going to call this this video at this time. Thanks everyone for joining me. I should be putting on some of the decals at some point. I'm going to, I think, do a whole montage of all the decals because I've got a lot of different colors. I might do some stripy things with that, just kind of get creative with it. If I can, I'm going to try to do a live maiden tomorrow morning, Friday morning. So it should be right around 8 o'clock to 8:30, right around there, if you guys want to check that out. All right, so Leaky Meat. Hey, Leaky Meat. I haven't heard from Leaky Meat in a long time. Great looking wing. I was looking for a wing that I could use as a spare quad parts for motor ESC. Would this fit the bill? This would definitely not fit the bill. If you take a look at this this motor here, this is actually a proper wing size motor. Leaky Meat. This is actually a 2000 kV. I think it's like I don't know the size offhand. You'll have to look at the products page for it. But this is much bigger than a quad size motor. This thing is going to give it this airplane some real get up and go. So so definitely not a quad style motor that would go on here. I mean, I suppose you could put a quad style motor back there, but it would take a lot of finagling because you have to get the motor out the back here, and you can see where the motor mount is here in front of the back of the airplane. You'd have to space it out somehow, and you probably would be going very fast on it. I'd say maybe 30, 40, 50 miles an hour at the maximum. It would handle it though, because it is a lightweight model. It's pretty lightweight. Then we're going to be putting in the like this 4S 2200 milliamp pack. So Like I said, this is right now nose heavy as we're going along, so I'm not really sure. All right, guys, so when we get this to maiden, I'm going to have everything glued in place, but I thought I'd give you just guys a quick overview and my initial thoughts. I have some concerns, but we'll see how it flies tomorrow morning. If you guys can join me tomorrow morning, go for it, and I will talk to you guys later. Thanks. Bye.